Content quality is purely subjective. Or is it? What if it wasn't? What if you could measure it? Hi, I'm Mike Phillips. In this video, we'll be discussing how you can measure high-quality content. We'll discuss the business impacts of content quality, 3 key areas for you to focus on, some pitfalls to avoid, as well as homework for you to practice what you've learned. Let's get started. If there's one constant refrain in this course, it's that Google learns from people. That's why we call it machine learning. But what does it learn from people? It learns how we behave, how we interact with content. And what drives our behavior? Our intuitive or objective assessment of whether that content is of worthy quality for our attention. There is no more fundamental business importance than earning and keeping the attention of potential buyers. And Google knows this, along with other search engines. That's why measuring content quality is a key part of what search engines do to determine how well you rank and how easily you are discovered. Because for all of the technical optimization that we can and should do, quality content is the #1 factor when it comes to SEO success. Since quality is not a physical attribute, you can't just take out a ruler and measure it. Similarly, there's no direct digital tool to give you a numerical response for how high quality or low quality a given piece of content is. The best way to measure is by using other indicating metrics that always follow from content quality. And you can compare against known successful brands that are doing content well, and then compare that against yourself. Let's look at 3 areas that you should focus on. The first area you should focus on is a few lagging indicators. These are metrics you can measure that would only happen after quality content is discovered. Of course, we would love a crystal ball to predict content performance and quality in advance, but sometimes we can use prior performance to then project. The way to get this prior performance is by testing content and looking at lagging indicators. In this case, indicators like direct traffic and returning users are really helpful. Direct traffic are users who are already aware of your brand. They have bookmarked or received a link in a word-of-mouth referral through a digital channel or otherwise. Navigating to your content through a direct link signals a strong intent for your brand. This trust was either earned directly through the content you're producing or transferred from someone who does trust your content through a word-of-mouth referral. Similarly, returning user volume is a great way to measure that your content is encouraging people who do consume it to consume more. Both direct traffic and returning user volume only increase with high-quality content. So how do we drive up results for these metrics? By having an editorial mix of thought leadership and search-focused content. Think about it this way. Search-focused content will earn traffic organically through search results. But what keeps them coming back or diving deeper is your thought leadership. This doesn't have to be terribly profound. You don't have to wax poetic about the meaning of life. But you can talk about real and genuine frustration points that your audience experiences that are relevant to the solutions that you offer. You can provide them with new ways to connect the dots, new ways to understand their pain, and to see that the root cause can and should be addressed. All of these types of content complement search-optimized articles that help discovery intent searches find you in the first place. By mixing them both, a proper editorial mix will present high-quality content to the people visiting your site. And these users will then teach Google that you have high quality and they should present your search results to more queries. The second area you should focus on is content topic clustering. Not only is this just a good practice from a technical perspective, but it's also the way people like to discover and explore deep knowledge. In content form, deep knowledge is how we start building authority and trust with our buyer. Buyers that have trust in your authority signal high-quality behavior back to search engines. Let's look at an example. In 2017, HubSpot's company blog had hit a traffic plateau. Now, for a software platform that is focused on inbound, this is actually a significant problem. It would be off-brand for them to explore non-inbound methods of growing their business. So this was a problem they had to solve. Their internal content team went back and looked for macroscopic trends in their search data. Based on what they were finding in the query history, they decided to restructure the existing content they had by taking a new hub and spoke model of content organization. The same value and thought leadership that they had before was generating a higher volume of discovery search queries. Combining that restructuring with the introduction of a new data report that was relevant based on breakout queries at the time, they were able to increase inbound traffic by over 25%. In the same year-over-year comparison, they increased their ranking for over 2 million keywords. The way you can implement a strategy similar to HubSpot is by identifying key content pillars and then clustering around this central hub the subtopics that are relevant to it. Make sure that they all interlink in a sensible way so that a user, the human user, would be able to navigate through them and feel impressed by your authority and expertise. This will have them exhibit behaviors that teach Google you have a high content matrix and you're providing an authoritative answer to the queries that they're ranking you for. Each of those cluster topics should be a related subtopic, but should approach them in unique ways compared to the centralized pillar. Think of this as a hub and spoke model where you have a central piece of content connected out to tinier structures around the perimeter. All of these connections are extremely valuable to Google from a technical perspective, but they also serve the human visitors that are consuming your content. In short, topic clustering works, but it's something you must invest in regularly. Do what HubSpot did. Look back at recent search history to find macroscopic trends, and then apply that to finding new ways to revise your content structure. Searches and audience knowledge shift subtly over time. Your content should always match. The third area I'd like you to focus on is making sure that your content aligns to the problems that your business solves. Just because you are selling something doesn't mean that the product itself will be understood as a solution. The content that you have on your site should be developed to help your buyer connect the dots. Buyers experience symptoms. They experience pain, frustration, lost time, lost revenue. Those symptoms have a root cause, but many times buyers won't understand the connection between the symptom they feel and the root cause under the surface. That's where your content comes in. Connect the dots from symptom to root cause by discussing benefits, not features. This sort of content is what we mean when we refer to thought leadership. A buyer may not even understand how a root cause connects to a solution. It could be obvious to you because your product or offering is built to solve that problem. But there are two leaps of understanding that a buyer must make before they will invest. SEO can help them make these leaps. Connect the symptom to the root cause and show how the root cause can be solved by what you offer. It's also worth creating content around the opportunity cost, the cost of inaction, of allowing the status quo to exist without taking advantage of your solution. Buyers may have experienced the symptom, the pain or frustration, creep gradually into their life. So gradually, they may not even recognize the difference that it is causing over a baseline without that frustration. If they continue to ignore the root cause of that symptom, is valuable content. This is how you help buyers make informed decisions that are directly connected to the solutions that you're offering. This is good SEO in practice. It is quality content that helps people make better, more informed buyer decisions while keeping your solutions top of mind. So how do you make sure you're connecting the right dots with the topics that are relevant to your customers? Look at the search terms that have the greatest traffic potential. Oftentimes, people ask questions to try to get to the root cause, even if they don't understand it fully yet. The search terms that have a high traffic potential that are relevant to your business are going to be the ones that your buyers are using to try to help educate themselves. Find those queries and then insert yourself into their discovery with content that directly addresses the connection between the symptoms that they're feeling, the root cause of that problem, and the solutions that you offer to address that root cause. Now that we've talked about 3 areas to focus on when measuring quality content, I want to address some pitfalls that you should be careful to avoid. The most common error that SEO specialists make is under-optimizing for the human search intent. It's far more easy to follow a numerical strategy, but you do need to align with your marketing intent strategy as well. How are you going to market? What benefits, not just features, do you want to address? These are key questions that you need to understand from a qualitative perspective to be able to implement numerically quantitative improvements. Learning the voice of your customer and the pain that they experience is critical to building a framework that serves those needs through quality content. The second pitfall is underemphasizing quality content versus technically optimized content. I think this happens because it's so much easier to make sure you complete all of the items on a technical optimization list compared to the loose structure of understanding a buyer and having to test that with lagging indicators. Even though it's a little harder to grasp, content quality is the #1 ranking factor that you should consider. It is the most influential for Google and the most influential for your customers. Now I'd like to give you an assignment for you to practice what you've learned in this lesson. I'd like you to practice Googling through the eyes of your customer. Look at what sort of queries you would make, not as someone who understands the features of your product, but as someone who only understands the symptoms that you would feel without the solution that your product brings. This assignment may involve you tapping into a little bit of consumer research, or talking to your sales team, or looking at your marketing strategy. Even competitor pages could be helpful to understand the way that buyers will talk about what you offer and your industry at large. Once you have this understanding, start making those initial discovery queries and look at how you rank. Remember, it's important to rank well for initial discovery and driving new eyes to your business. But remember to check your returning user volume and your direct traffic as well. These are signs of people who have consumed content in one session and are interested in consuming more. These may not convert today, but this is the source of your future pipeline. Congratulations, you've reached the end of this video. We've discussed how to measure high-quality content, the business impact that high-quality content can have on your revenue and bottom line. We've looked at 3 key areas that you should focus on when measuring and influencing quality content, as well as some pitfalls for you to avoid. And you've been given an assignment to practice what you've learned. Thank you so much for learning with me. I'm Mike Phillips, and remember, high-quality content will engage the people who consume it. And those people will teach Google, through their actions, that your content is worthy of ranking high and therefore increase your organic discovery.